Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Corner today on this amazing day with this amazing material, an amazing topic, and everything's just amazing today. You know, it's a great way to look at things as well. So, without further ado, first of all, welcome to Coach's Corner. Where is it? Where is it? I got to find it. I was pushing buttons. Welcome to Coach's Corner.
There we go. Yeah.
You might learn something that or gain some type of insight that could shift your life entirely, your whole mindset. And we're talking about the science of getting rich. And we're on chapter, I think, 5, I believe.
Hi. Yeah.
Wow, time flies, doesn't it? So we're on chapter 5, increasing life. And this is so important to understand. And who wouldn't want to increase their life in some way, especially monetarily? So my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach / business consultant. I basically partner with Proctor Gallagher, and my purpose is to reveal the hidden potential within you and guide you to your truest desires. I work with individuals, entrepreneurs, business owners, and help guide you to higher milestones, if you will. I'm in the Maryland area, and I'll pass it to my awesome colleague, Lou.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Or if you're catching the replay, oh, is there feedback? I just heard myself.
No,
But anyways, well, thank you for being here. I was not here last week, and I was so bummed out because I watched the replay and it was awesome. So if you're catching the replay, welcome. And my name is Lou Perica. I am a success mindset coach. My business is Prosperous Results. And what I do is I help guide, growth-minded women who may be feeling stuck or unfulfilled, and I help them reconnect really with their true magnificence that's within them so they can live a life of prosperity, purpose, and joy. And I believe that success isn't about doing more, but it's about really untying those mindset knots that really hold us back so we can all step into the life that we truly desire, because that's why we're here. We're here to experience life. And part of experiencing life is making it what you want to experience. Paul.
We're going to get some energy going here.
Was that applause for Lou, or is that applause for me at my introduction?
Whatever way you take it.
Thank you, Lou, and thank you, Jamel. My name is Paul Wooters. I'm in Burlington, Ontario, Canada. I'm also a success mindset coach, Proctor Gallagher consultant. Recently appointed the Director of Interpotential and Personal Mastery at the World Life Education Center and High School in Oakville. And it wasn't as though, there weren't times where I was stuck in life. So how did this happen? How did this evolve? And it came about by applying the principles of success that we talk about here every week, about studying the material that we teach through mentorship. And so now I devote my life to helping individuals create their life by design, with intention and on purpose, rather than living by default. And I truly help you live to your greatest possibilities. Jamel.
Awesome. I have to applaud my amazing colleagues because, I was thinking back, and even sometimes I listen to our replays and I'm like, wow, they're awesome. And I'm grateful to be able to share this material, not just to share it, but also share it with some amazing people. And speaking of amazing, for all our amazing viewers out there, make sure you drop some comments, engage, like, share, heart it, whatever you got to do. But also, we're trying to get some new features going, but reach out to us because we're going to share something very powerful. and we're going to share something that's meant for you. And when you're inspired or motivated, act on it, because this shifts everything in your life. It really does. And one little moment can change the trajectory of all the success that you desire. So, speaking of success, the science of getting rich, increasing life. I know my colleague Lou has many highlights in this chapter. And I'm sure Paul has a lot as well, right? So the first thing that jumps out at me is it's so interesting because it's usually like the first couple sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Because Wallace D. Wattles, he's very, I would say, calculated, because he says you can get rich with mathematical certainty by following what we share here and what's in this book. And we're breaking down little things that speak to us. So you're getting an extra dose, an extra dose. So every living thing must continually seek for the enlargement of its life, because life, in the mere act of living, must increase itself.
Yeah.
This session's over.
Boom, we're done. Thank you, everyone.
Think about that. We'll see you next Sunday, right? Every living thing must continually seek for enlargement of its life. So you desiring more, a better lifestyle, more time with your family, maybe a sports car or a yacht, or an extra vacation house. It doesn't matter what the desire is. You're continually seeking for the enlargement of your life when you desire something. And just the getting of something, more money, who doesn't want more money, right? It's not the getting, right? It's the growth that we receive. That's the true gift, and who we become. And I never knew that until I started professionally and, read almost so many different books, but also taught by our legend, Bob Proctor, as well, right? Our mentor. So, and then it says, because life, in the mere act of living, I like that part, in the mere act of just living. And that's that's so deep. Because in the mere act of living, you're a part of spirit. You're an expression of something much bigger than ourselves, or smaller, it depends on your perception. Must increase itself. So spirit is seeking expression and fuller expansion through you, through your desires. It must increase itself. And that always reminds me of, you're either creating or you're disintegrating.
Mm-hmm.
You're either living or you're dying. And be really open and honest with yourself, but be gentle with yourself. Which one are you doing today? Are you creating or are you disintegrating? Have you invested in mentorship for yourself? Have you become uncomfortable doing things you wish you could have done, or you want to do, but you haven't done them? It must increase itself. And that's why you keep having these dreams and wish and hope. You're meant to grow. So that right there, that's why I said the session is done, because we can talk about that one section for an hour. And I already spent 7 minutes. So can anybody else want to tag in there?
Yeah, I'll jump in. So just the title of the chapter, Increasing Life. And as I mentioned when I was introducing myself, many of us, we all want more. It's it's inherent within us. It's the divine essence within us that's always looking to express itself in a greater way. I was raised, or I heard when I was younger, that I shouldn't think of myself. I shouldn't want more. I should be satisfied with what I have. Um, stopped wanting more. And that created a guilt for wanting more. And I carried this throughout my life up until I started to study. And I believe that many people still carry this guilt. And it was Bob that had said, you should never be satisfied. Be grateful, yes. Be happy for what you have, what you've accomplished, your relationships, all of that. Be happy, be grateful, but never satisfied. Because dissatisfaction is a creative state. See, once we're satisfied with life and we say, "No, I'm good. Everything's good in my life," you're no longer creating. You're just riding this one wave, but there's so many other waves that are coming, and you say, "No, I'm good with this one." And this is what Jamel said meant by you're either creating or disintegrating. And I think it was one of the last coaches corners that I talked about, and I use the example of a caveman. For an example, when the first chair or seat was created, now that cave person was sick and tired of sitting on a cold ground, for an example, and decided, oh, every time I have to get up, it takes a lot of energy. So they came up with perhaps a tree stump or something to elevate themselves so they don't have to put all this effort from getting up from the ground. And perhaps they padded that tree stump with leaves or skins from animals to make it more comfortable. Now, that caveman was doing it for himself or herself or their family. And that's what had happened. He did it for himself, but everyone benefited from it. So every time we want more in our life, whatever we decide to achieve, and that's why goals are so important, whatever we decide to create, it's not just for us. It increases life for everyone. So that cave person that created the chair, for an example, never thought about a recliner, a love seat, a swivel chair, a rocking chair, a high chair. But this is what it took that first idea and increased life. Every person that created upon that original idea was benefiting life for everyone. So our desire to want more is not just about us. Everyone benefits from it. So if you're earning more income, for an example, or you're receiving more money, you don't just hide it and never touch it. You go out and you purchase things or you invest in things. And that money, when you circulate it, increases life for everyone. So that's how I take this chapter. It increases, when we increase our life, it increases it for everyone. And this is all by design. It's all by design. That's what blows my mind. Everything, just look at how life just keeps going forward. It never goes backwards. Paul.
Wow, yeah. So as Jamel said, just extracting from the opening few sentences, and we could just pull so much from that and have a whole discussion about that. It's incredible. And I love what both Jamel and Lou just said, because the author here, he's teaching us that the true purpose of wealth is to increase life in yourself and others. And I remember Bob always saying, you're either growing or you're dying. As Jamel and Lou said, you're increasing life. There's nothing stands still. Everything changes. Everything's changing. So you're growing or you're dying. You're never just, you can be stagnant, but that means you're dying. You're going backwards. You can never just stand still. And I love what Lou pointed out too, that there's a healthy dissatisfaction with things. That's what why we have new technology all the time, why things are always changing, because, you know, our technology is good. This technology that we're using right now is good, but you know that it's going to get better, that it's going to go through changes. Someone is going to come up with a better idea. And so that's what increasing life is all about. You know, this urge for more life, it's a natural thing. You know, every living thing wants to expand and to grow to its fullest. Not, as we talked about before, not in a competitive manner, right? Opportunity is not monopolized, as we talked about in previous chapters, but it's just to be as much of yourself, to bring as much of yourself to that surface. And so this desire for wealth, it's not about greed. Yep, there are people that are greedy out there, but the desire for wealth isn't about greed. It's a desire for a fuller expression of life. You know, more money makes you more of what you already are. But what is good for you, then you can help other people as well. So we know that the universe is always expanding. It's always growing. And so when you look to increase life in yourself and in others and in everything that you do, you are aligning with this universal law of growth. And that the true riches, it's not just about material things, but it's to the extent to which you expand your capacity for living and for helping others to do the same thing.
Yeah, this is so good, because it brings a lot of things to mind. Healthy obsession, right? That keeps jumping in my mind when we say being basically not satisfied, right? But healthy in a sense, meaning that the healthy obsession is the desire to grow, the desire to experience more, and don't feel bad about that. For all our viewers, I felt bad for years desiring different things and a better lifestyle. And even this office, it's just, I laugh because I felt bad for desiring a brand new home when I didn't know anyone in my circle that ever had one. We're talking from the dirt to the top of the roof, designing it, right? Picking out the tiles, picking out the trim and all this stuff, right? That was days, 3 days of picking out all different rooms, different sequence, everything. So I felt bad that I desired this thing. That's just my journey, right? And I know somebody can relate to that because, you know, when you're younger and, you know, I didn't have this awareness I do now. Looking back, I was like, whoa, this is what I was doing. So, and like Paul mentioned, you know, this is so good. It doesn't have to be material things, but what really jumps out is the law of cause and effect. Because as you grow, we mentioned it here in different ways, you will affect or impact other people's lives in a positive way. So you are the cause. Everything else is an effect. So how are you increasing your value, your service, your ability, right? What are you putting out there in the universe to help millions of people, right? That impact millions of people. Notice a lot of the wealthiest people are people that have the biggest impact. If you really think about that, right? So it says every desire is unexpressed possibility. I think I'm jumping down here. Yeah, I'll say it anyway. Every desire is unexpressed possibility to come into action. Unexpressed possibility. So that desire that you have is something inside you that's unexpressed, right? And this is possibility for you to become a higher version of yourself. And this is where frustration comes in. Like if you've been stuck with the same salary or same situation for years, trust me, I've been there, you know, there's frustration because you know you're meant for more and there's unfulfillment there. But you can change that immediately by shifting your mindset, by focusing on the abundance and actually applying a lot what we're sharing here. And also, guess what? Contacting one of us, right? Because we're doing this life work, right? And also mention here, the desire for riches is simply the capacity for larger life seeking fulfillment. It's just larger life seeking fulfillment. Larger. Basically more grand than where you are. And we have unlimited potential, right? So the only thing that limits you is your own thinking and what you believe yourself to be. That's so powerful. So larger life is readily available for you right now, for anyone that watches this or listens to it. But you have to make a choice. You have to be very serious with yourself and tap into this abundance. So that way you have part of that fulfillment. And guess what? The growth never stops. It never stops. But it's how you develop yourself in this lifetime, in this time that we're given, that we're blessed with. So that's just a few things, kind of stood out to me.
Yeah. What stood out, what I have highlighted and underlined, and a little star next to it. It says,
Let me get my pause ready.
every thought we think makes it necessary for us to think another thought. Consciousness is continually expanding. And what I think about, as you were speaking, Jamel, if you look back, generation, a lot of times when I'm with friends of mine or an older group, I'll always hear, oh, this generation, blah, 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 this generation, blah, blah, blah. And I always say, well, who raised this generation? We're blaming the generation, but we contributed to each generation. And if you look back, each generation has its own set of new ideas, new creations, new thoughts. If we look back, I was looking at my cell phone, right? So look at now, it's sleek, right? It's so sleek and you can carry it in your pocket. But think about the first cell phones that you were able, it came like in a suitcase. And it was big and it was bulky. Think about old TV shows when you watch them, how the men all wore suits and the women always had dresses on or whatever, right? And through the generations, you start to see shifts and changes in the way people dress, in their language, the way they speak. All of this, and that's what's so fun about looking back at things. Music, right? The difference between music in the 60s and in the 70s and in the 80s and all the different genres. And this just goes to show you how life is continually increasing. And I always think that that's when I just went to a show called When Elvis Met the Beatles. And we're watching the show and just the way they dress. And I was never a big Beatles fan. I do enjoy Elvis now, but just the way they dressed, the way they spoke, the songs that they sang. It's really quite comical when you look at it from the perspective of today's, right? The way we live today and the way we speak today, the way we dress today. But it's always fun to look back because you are getting a recorded history of life increasing itself. And that's what I find, that's what's so fun for me, to look back at old TV shows or old movies and say, look at how, as a society as a whole, how we used to think. Look at how we perceived things to be real and to be true, and the values that we had then compared to now, and how things continually shift. Right? It's really so, and that's what this is talking about. There is this divine essence and power that is continually looking to grow and express itself in as many ways as possible. And it uses us to do that. It uses our mind, our individual mind, and our actions to bring the creations forth.
Wow. Yeah, that's that's a lot. That's a lot to digest there, right? There's a lot to digest in this chapter in this book. But I love what Lou said, and I've got that highlighted as well in the book. And then following that, this urge for us when we grow. We want to be more, we want to do more, we want to know more. There's always that urge to want to know more and to do more and to be more. But in order to do those things, we have to have more. We need to have more in order to do these things. And in order to have more things, we do need wealth. We do need money. Money is just an exchange of services, or an exchange of giving. And wealth is a service. When you give more value than what you take, then you're becoming this conduit or a channel for increasing life. And that attracts more wealth back to you, right? It brings it's this thing about circulation that Lou talked about. Everything's in circulation, and abundance grows by circulation. So not just money, but ideas, opportunities, they multiply when they're shared. So all those things that Lou talked about, you see this history. When you look back at old shows, you kind of see this visual history. We're getting this visual history. But when we share all these ideas, when we share our money, when we share the opportunities, it just multiplies everything. And we also referred to greed before, but so withholding or hoarding, that creates limitation, right? That's a scarcity mindset. And that prevents the growth that you're really seeking, right? And so, as I said, that the true measures of success, they're not just material things. They're, how do you expand your capacity for living and helping others to do the same? And that's part of the work that we do as mentors and coaches is trying to draw that out from other people, because you're so rich with the talent and abilities and gifts that you are blessed with, and it's just to bring those out into circle. And you do want to do those things. That's your inherent nature. That's your desire, where it is. And too often we stifle those things, and we look at oh, that's not reality, or that's not the real world. But it's inventions and new ideas came from these people that they're seeking more knowledge, and they're always seeking a better way. And better is a good word. Things are good, and we've talked about this already. Things are good, and so, but we shouldn't just be. Yes, we should be grateful, but again, this healthy dissatisfaction for the way things are, that make things better for ourselves and for all those around us.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What I'm thinking when you mention that is everything's created twice, right? First in the unseen, which is the imagination, right? The sacred gift. And then in the seen, in our material world. So that's exactly what Wallace is talking about in this book, the thinking substance. That's the unseen. It permeates, penetrates the interspaces of the universe. I can't believe I just remembered that. So that's Wallace speaking, that's spirit speaking through me, right? It flows to and through you. So when you understand that everything's created through you, you start gaining a higher awareness of what he's talking about, that thinking substance. That substance thinks. And if you go back to, I forgot which episode, but we did the first principle, in The Science of Getting Rich. And he talks in depth about that. And that was such a great episode. Go back and watch that a few weeks. We're on a couple platforms, Facebook, YouTube for me, and LinkedIn as well. So check our platforms and watch that. And this is just not just to gain knowledge, right? That's easy. We can read books, we can talk about this, but this is to really apply it and see the changes in your life that you desire. That was me. I would read everything and study everything, and I still do that a lot. But I'm like, okay, I know all this knowledge. Let me utilize it for myself, my family, and others as well. Because when I'm able to live with it, I'm able to impact more people a lot quicker and in more of a positive way, right? So I love this talk because Lou mentioned the technology, and I was thinking about even look at vehicles, how they changed over the years. You can even see it in old shows. I was watching something last night, and they got out of the old Lincoln Continental where the doors open on the opposite sides, and you don't see that anymore. Like the doors open backwards, the back doors. And I was like, wow. And it's a huge car and it's super heavy. And I'm sure the gas mileage was really bad, but gas was a lot cheaper back then. So the point is, every look around you is spirit. That's all it is. It's the expression, the desire. That person wanted to design. They even brought back the Lincoln Continental, I don't know, like 2020 or 2022. They wanted to redesign it. They wanted to bring it back to life. They wanted to create a better version, right? And that's all that is spirit, that thinking substance working through you. The cell phone that Lou brought up, look, it's so funny. I got a gold case because it's abundance for me. I stay focused on it because it reminds me that everything is unlimited every time I see this gold. And go out, get a gold phone case and apply that as well. But the point is, this was somebody's idea. It started in the unseen, the streamline of it, right? Touching it with your physical finger, allowing your face to open the phone. That's my phone unlocks. But the point is, all of this came from spirit. These ideas, this intuition, and people acted on it. You won't experience these things unless they acted on it. And they had to face discomfort. People were like, are you crazy? You're going to create a phone that's that thin and make it a supercomputer and put processors in it and have it, you can charge it by placing it on something and even calling somebody from across the world to match frequencies so you can speak to somebody wirelessly. Are you nuts? Imagine that, right? Imagine that. The opposition they will face telling somebody what the idea they had in their mind and in their heart. People, they'll put you in a straitjacket and lock you up. But they're willing to do what it takes to face the opposition, to believe in the unseen. They believed in themselves. And this book that we're covering, Increasing Life, all the things I mentioned are increasing everyone's life through their vision. Right? So see how people are impacted based on how they wanted to grow. It's so beautiful. You can't even get out of this because you're a part of it. And this is why these calls are important, because you're gaining an understanding. With an understanding, right? This is study. It's the only way out of lack mindset. Ignorance is simply not knowing. Don't be ignorant with these laws. You want knowledge to tap into abundance and have faith and be at ease, right? Not dis-ease, right? So Wallace mentions here, this is so beautiful. And sometimes he gets very poetic. He says, that which makes you want more money is the same as that which makes the plant grow. Mm-hmm. It is life seeking fuller expression. Look at your plants. Look around in your house, or again, I'm growing bonsai trees, and every time I see them every day, they're just growing. And that's what's seeking within you. As a plant wants to grow, you want to grow. And it says that which makes you want more money. Money is just a tool to buy the things for the expression of who you want to be. So that is deep, because we can talk about money paradigms and belief systems that hold us back for many years. That's a big conversation. But, and also what's mentioned here, what spirit wants is that you should make the most of yourself.
Mhm.
That's what spirit wants, to make the most of yourself, for yourself and for others. So imagine you acting on that idea, or getting an understanding or clarity of where you're going in your life. Imagine the people you will impact. And you can help others more, I love this, by making the most of yourself than in any other way. So the more you make of yourself, you're able to help others. This is why I said it's so beautiful, because it's intertwined. You can't separate it. And it was very powerful that was shared. That's increasing life. Look at that. Increasing life right there. So I thought that was so amazing. If it's okay, I would love to do this for what was shared. Can I give myself applause?
Absolutely. Give yourself a hand.
Thank you.
I'll give you a hand. I'll give you a hand, Jamel.
Thanks for your approval. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Awesome. And what I love about Coach's Corner, and by the way, shout out to Alicia, who is not with us today. I don't know if she's
Hey, Alicia.
traveling. What I love about Coach's Corner is because we do the work. The only way to gain understanding is through study. I love that I can have these conversations with my colleagues. I can't talk this way to majority of the people. So to watch if you're watching us, it means you're looking for more. You're looking for a deeper understanding. And what I love about this part in the book, it says, it is essential, however, that your purpose should harmonize with the purpose that is in all. You must want real life, not mere pleasure of sensual gratification. Life is the performance of function. The individual really lives only when he performs every function, physical, mental, and spiritual, of which he's capable of without any excess in any. So what I loved about this, and what I loved about studying with Bob and having these conversations, is when I was younger, I focused just on the physical. I would exercise and I would fast and I was doing all this physical stuff. And then as I got older, I was learning more things. When I was in real estate or whatnot, I was studying more, gaining more knowledge. But I never really understood or was taught about my spiritual side. So because we are spiritual beings, because we have an intellect, this power to create, and because we have these physical bodies, being able to bring about the creation by using our hands, our thoughts, and all of that, we are always living and experiencing life on three planes simultaneously. And what we do here is we talk about all three, because we talk about taking action. You must take action. You can't just live in your head and in your heart. You must take action. That's what your hands and your body and your mouth is for, all of that. You must express it. Take that idea and express it. But I find that most of us, and myself in the past, usually only focus on one of these areas in our life, sometimes two, a combination, but not all three. And that's what differentiates us in Coach's Corner and what it is that we teach and share with our clients, because we talk and express about all three parts of us. They must be addressed, but I never learned about the spiritual side of me. I never learned about this divine essence, this thing called life. To me, life was something that came at me. Like life just happens. And and life was kind of like, right? It was like this enemy I had to fight off, and I had to beat life. I didn't understand that life was helping me to grow. I didn't understand that. So I was always living on only two planes instead of all three, because that's who and what I am, all of us. So that's why when Waddle says you must perform every function, why do we have the ability to think? Why does everyone have the ability to think? Now, whether we think or not is another question, but why do we have the ability? What is the purpose of it? What is the purpose of emotions? Like we all have them, but why? They must serve some sort of function, some purpose. Why do we express ourselves through our body? Gotta be a reason. But I never thought about these things. And that's what study does. It empowers you to help us understand who and what we are and the potential that's within us. And everything is all by design. But I didn't know that until I started to study. And this is why I believe it's so important. And it took one person, it was Bob, who introduced me to this. And then I started to gain more information from other mentors and whatnot. But this is so foundational, what we're sharing with everyone here. You must understand who and what you are. And until you do, you will feel disempowered. You feel like a victim, right? Ah. You feel like a victim. So no more of that. Take 100% responsibility of your life and feel how empowering that can be.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Applause for sure. It's so true, and I want to touch on something that Jamel had said earlier, and it's it's about developing and growing ourselves and to be more of what we are. And there's that great quote by Steve Bow who said, "God's gift to you is more talent and ability than you can hope to use in this lifetime, and your gift to God and humanity is to develop as much of those talents and gifts as you can in your lifetime. And by doing that, you are able to give more, and you are able to be more, and you're able to do more, and you are a great of service. The better version you are of yourself, the better you are for those around you, the better, for your family and your relationships at your workplace, the people you do business with, all those things. And I also like what Lou said when she talked about those three aspects of living, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So often people focus on one thing. Maybe it's the physical, or maybe it's those material things, for the material gratification or that physical gratification. And some people, delve into just that spiritual side. And all three are good, but they all have to be combined. They have to be not just one, but all three in more or less equal measure. And that brings out the best of you. And that helps you to grow and be the best version of yourself. And when you're the best version of yourself, you can be of the greatest service to everybody else. You're doing yourself a great service. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't try and become your best version. And so, both Lou and Jamel said, it's not just about study. It is about study. You do have to study, but it's also the application of what it is you're studying. It's putting that into action, taking action on those things. Otherwise, it's like, I remember Jack Canfield saying, otherwise it's just shelf knowledge. You know, it's just you're just reading and just it's like putting that book on the shelf and never applying any of the things that you learn. So yes, it's about studying and it's about mentorship and it's about taking action on those things, about and applying the things that you are learning and that you're studying. And I think that was so key. And one of the great things that I learned from Bob as well, you know, it's that application of the things that you are studying. And in that way, you know, you're doing yourself the greatest service and you will be rich. And rich, you know, is a big umbrella. We're not just talking about, you know, cash, money, or wealth. And by being rich, you will help others do the same. And that's really the key here, right? The pursuit of riches is right when the purpose is to increase life for yourself, but for everyone that you touch in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I have to give Paul a round of applause as well. This is such a powerful session, you know. Wow, there's so much shared there. My wheels were turning with so many different things to say, you know, and what to really understand, and we all were impacted by Bob Proctor, and he helped me understand more of who I am. And just to kind of put it the way that really resonated with me, we are a spiritual being. That's what we are.
Mm-hmm.
We have an intellect, which is, you know, intellectual mind, thinking mind, and we live in a physical body. So that right there really gave me the clarity that changed my life forever, right? Knowing that what we are, we're spirit. And intellect, it's funny, you know, Paul mentioned it's just shelf knowledge, right? We become conditioned to just watch videos, read all these books, listen to audiobooks, but we're just feeding the intellect, right? It's just knowledge. And the physical, you know, I like to work out. I'm very physical. Paul's very physical. Lou, I believe you're physical as well. So we're all pretty balanced beings here, you know. But when you're just, Wallace touched on it really well, the way he said it in this book, and Lou mentioned it as well. But when you're focused just on the spiritual, right, and neglecting your body, or you're just focused on knowledge, right? And I remember Bob saying, is the book in you or on the shelf? And that always stood out to me, right? All this material, everything we share, it could just go in your conscious mind. You start thinking a little different, but it just stays there. Nothing changes when it just stays there, right? And physical, let's say you just go to the gym every day and watch your calories. You neglect the intellect, and you neglect your spiritual side, which is essential. So you're out of balance. You're out of harmony. We're 3-part beings. And when you start understanding that, then you start understanding the outside of you, which is the same, right? It's all the same. It's individual expressions of spirit. Everything is in constant flow, constant movement. Nothing rests. We live in an ocean of motion, right? So when you understand that, you are the cause. My mind is the divine center of operation. You create everything with your thoughts. It starts with your thoughts. And this is why thinking is important. And this increase of life, it has to start with your thoughts. It has to start in the fantasy, the unseen, right? So much shared there. And I wouldn't do any justice to end this episode without mentioning this. Oh, wow, it's a big one. You must get rid of the thoughts of competition. You are to create, not to compete for what is already created.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how he said, for what is already created. Creation is finished, is complete. Nothing's created or destroyed. It's it's just there. It's in different frequencies. That is a hard concept for a lot of people to grasp, right? And I'm so grateful I finally got it. I finally got it. But some days I try to go back to my old self and forget again. It's interesting how, the pull and tug of consciousness. And he says, riches secured on the competitive plane are never satisfactory and permanent. Yours today and another's tomorrow. I love how he worded that. So you want to operate on the creative plane, right? We're creators put here to create, essentially. And the question is, what are you creating? Or are you creating? Well, you are creating, but most people are creating what they don't want because they don't understand themselves. And they're not doing the self-work that is so important. And sometimes you have to change your wording. It's self-love, really, because you're loving your higher self and you're doing what's needed to become. That's how I had to kind of shift it, because for me, work, I come from a working background. So work was like something you had to do. There's a lot of negative energy around it. So I had to kind of shift my perception, right? I self-love myself every day. And I do it here on Coach's Corner. But not only when I love myself, I'm able to spread that love to another person through the love I have for growth and personal development and fulfillment I receive when I see other people grow. So competitive versus creative. And competitive, a lot of people, that's a limited lack mindset when you create from a competitive plane, because you think, oh, there's not enough. I got to work harder than this person. This person has this and they have that. Do this. Right? That's you're leaving your power. You're putting your power outside of yourself, and you need to shift that, because a lot of people operate with a competitive mindset. Like, for instance, if we're all here saying, "Oh, I need to speak better than Lou or Paul or Alicia," I need to say this so I can seem like this. That's a negative way. Like, why would you think that, right? Or I need to buy this car so my neighbors think I'm doing this. I need to cut my grass this certain way so I look better. That's competitive, right? And judgmental, right? Oh, I need to wear this tie because so-and-so wore that tie. I think this is a better tie. That's a negative competitive mindset, right? You want to create who you want to be, who you desire to be. And that creative process, it can last beyond your own physical existence. It really can. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit because that was huge in this chapter.
Yeah. And I had mentioned when I was in real estate, competition was a word that we always heard. You want to crush the competition and do all of these things. And when we focus on what someone else is doing, we're taking away from our own ability to create. So remember, whatever an individual is doing or his company is doing, that individual or company is doing the thing they're doing because they have their very own experiences in life. They have their own gifts. Everyone comes to the table with their very own ideas, gifts, abilities, and experiences. So for me to compete with someone else, I have no idea where they came from, how they got to where they got. In a sense, I say, because I understand universal laws, but I don't know what their desires are. But I see them expressing it, so that's for them. They're creating whatever it is that they're creating, that's for them. It's not for me. If I have something similar, I have to go into my own file cabinet and pull out the experiences that I bring to the table, the gifts, the talents, all the things that make me unique, and use those things, not someone else, use those things to bring to the table. Never forget what you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
You are bringing all of you, your past, your future, your desires, your disappointments, your wins, your losses, everything that shapes and molds you. That's what you bring to the table. So when we create, you're using all of that to express and expand your life in a bigger and greater way. Don't focus on the other person. I remember watching, maybe it was a video, and it was a swim competition. Paul is a dive coach, and the person that won by maybe whatever, a stroke. And when you see the person who's winning, they were just focused. The person that came in second, you can see that they were watching the other person. I was like, oh, that was a very powerful video for me to watch, because they were focused on what the other person was doing instead of just doing their best to get to that finish line or to touch that wall. Just do your best, do your best. Don't focus on the other person. So this is what another thing that we're talking about is, and don't focus on competing. Focus on creating, because that's what you are. You are a creative being. You're not a competitive being. You're a creative being. And there's enough creativity, possibility, and potential. It's all limitless for everyone to create. So when Jamel had mentioned everything has already been created, when you think about technology or the airplane, right? That awareness of technology was always there. It's just that the human awareness was not there yet. The need, the want, the desires was not there yet. But the potential and the possibility always existed. Same thing with planes. So think about, I don't know, 500 years from now, what technology could look like. Heck, 500, it could be 5 years from now, right? Or 10 years. The potential is just waiting for us, but it already exists. Life is so damn good. It's so damn amazing. But we have to get out of our own way of victimhood and I can't and I'm limited and blah, 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 and really look at who and what you truly are.
Yeah, you know what, Lou? I love that. Get out of your own way. We have to get out of our own way. We trip ourselves up so often, right? Limits are self-imposed. It creates scarcity and lack. They aren't conditions of the universe, really, but they're reflections of the dominant thoughts that we hold in our own minds. Right? We create those own limiting beliefs. And just as Jamel said, everything was created twice, first in the mind and then in the material world. And that means that the thought is the foundation of all creation, everything around us, right? Everything was first a thought. It first existed in someone's mind before it became a physical reality. So our inner world, what we're thinking inside, it's going to shape our outer world. What we consistently think and believe impresses itself upon our actions, upon our choices, and then that's ultimately the results that we experience. So when we think in harmony with abundance and growth and possibility, then we're aligning ourselves up with the creative process of the universe. And so we're not victims. We're not victims of chance. We are participants in creation. So when we change our thoughts, that's the first step to changing our lives, right? And so this lack and limitation are those are just things we build on our own mind. And this thing about being rich or having rich, it's not about greed. It's just about helping us further express who we are and what we are, and in order to be and do and have and know the things our desire for those things, what we need money to do and be able to do those things. Yeah. So it's like, again, it's really about increasing life for yourself and ultimately for everybody around you in your world.
Wow, this has been such an amazing session. It's always great. That's wonderful. Awesome job, Lou. Awesome job as always, Paul. Both of you. This is amazing.
You as well,
Um,
Jamel. Thank you.
Thank you. For increase of life for all those watching, really look at your life and see what area you want to improve. And this is very, very serious and very exciting work because you get to see the outside reflect the inside. And, you attract it. It's so beautiful because if you watch this replay or you've been watching us live, you attracted this very message at this time in your life for a reason. And these laws that we're part of, they operate without us knowing. And now you're part of something that's been here before us and that'll be here after us. And we're all given this little moment of time. And what do we do in that time in our lives? And if this spoke to you, and if anything inspired you to make some shifts and do something uncomfortable, reach out to any one of us. You can reach out to Lou, reach out to Paul, myself, Alicia. Our links are in the comments or whatever platform you're watching this. If you want to learn more and seeing if, personal growth fits your needs, make sure you set up a call with us. I personally am looking for one more person to help, with this beautiful material this month. And the month is almost up. I'm looking for somebody right now. So make sure you reach out to me and reach out to any of us, anybody you resonate with. So increase of life is essential. Remember, you're either creating or you're disintegrating. So let's create the life that you do want rather than focusing on the past negatives or creating the life that you don't want or being stuck, right? So anybody have anything on the share that's going on for this month or this coming month? Anything coming to mind you want to share?
I'm going to be traveling, so I'll be doing some in-person things when I get to Georgia. But I do want to add one last thing, Jamel.
Please. Yeah, please.
When we complain, when we hate, when we judge, when we criticize, we are stopping the creative flow. The flow is love. The flow is life. Ask yourself, instead of focusing on those things, what would you love? What would you love to experience during this particular lifetime? Because life continues, with or without us. Life will continue. Life will continue to create and to grow and to express itself. So what do you want to do with your life during this particular time? And ask yourself, am I adding to life or am I holding back? I thank you for joining us today. I hope you come and join us again next week. If there is someone that you believe that's in your life that could benefit from these teachings, have them join us. The more the merrier. We love sharing this and sharing our experiences and how good life really is. But we've done the work. We've done the work. We don't just listen. We don't just study. We take action. We do the work, and we're experiencing the riches of life. And we want that for all of you. That's why we're here. So I thank you for being here, and I love my colleagues. I'm so grateful for them that we can have these discussions. It's really, it's increased my life tremendously.
Yeah, thank you, Lou. I'll just leave everyone with this question. What small shift could you make today to give more life through your words, your actions, or your service?
Wow, amazing. Amazing. I love it. Oh man, I'm starting to get teary-eyed. Lou, you started it. You started it. October 11th, coming up on a birthday. So I'm doing a Let's Grow Together live online birthday celebration. So come celebrate with me online. My colleagues, of course, are welcome as well. It's 9 a.m. To 10 a.m. in the morning. I was going to welcome wine, but I think that's kind of early for wine in the morning. Maybe I'll do one that night as well, but that's October 11th. So mark your calendars. Again, it's Let's Grow Together live online birthday celebration. So we're celebrating life and we're growing together. So reach out to me for access to that. As always, it's a great pleasure doing these with my awesome colleagues. And you notice we don't want it to end. But with every end, there's a beginning. Don't let this just end in your conscious mind. We love this material. We love helping you. And as you can tell, we have a lot to give. But what's special is you're not alone in this growth process when you make a choice to become uncomfortable and take an action towards what you really want. All right. Much success, everybody. Many blessings, much love. And this has been another amazing episode of Coach's Corner.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks a lot.